Hey, Helen.
Hi, Rob. We are week 3, term 3, and we are going today to hit this whole project story once again. But this time, we're actually going to look at English or language, actually, better still, because it's Afrikaans and English, isn't
And
it?
also, it's a new project that was new last year. So people are feeling a little bit uncertain about it. So I like starting with what we're not good at.
Okay, cool. So we're going to look at the English project for this term. So one could do poetry, which would be cool. I mean, you give them like 3 poems on horses and ask them to find 2 more, and you analyze them and you look at the rhyme scheme and the poetic devices or whatever.
Exactly.
Short story, you mentioned Roald Dahl.
Yes, or Rudyard Kipling.
Yes, Just So Stories.
Yes.
Well, how the elephant got its trunk. And there you would look on a theme, or
or how, similar to folk tales, how lessons are taught through animal stories.
Okay, cool. Drama, I think, is difficult for junior school because we don't really have...
Yeah, we don't have anything meaty in junior school really.
I'm sure drama teachers are saying, oh, there are loads, but good for you. Folklore, I think, is easy. And a novel, if you're doing Holes, which I know schools that I've been at, or The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, you would look at Holes, for example, was there bullying? Of course.
Friendship.
Yes, friendship, and how important that was.
Or you could look at values such as
respect, loyalty, greed, and particularly in fairy tales where, you know, the wolf was often greedy. So you pick any one of those genre and then you work a theme from it.
Yeah.
So it's actually quite easy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not tricky once you've broken it down. And I think this is what we did here, is we took all the information that the Western Cape Education Department sent out to schools. We teased through it and we pulled out just the important stuff. So this is a project outline for the teacher to break it down into what he or she needs to do.
So the teacher needs to find a question, whether it's a fairy tale or folklore. I wonder why bullying happened in Holes.
Yeah. Why are all the female characters in fairy tales always helpless?
Oh, lovely. And then the children, from the teacher's question, need to form their own hypothesis. That if you have a whole lot of boys in a poor situation, bullying could become...
Then you get bullying.
Yes, then you get bullying. And I think that frogs in fairy tales are perhaps so ugly that's why they always become the prince in the end.
Yes.
Or whatever. So you've got to come up with your own hypothesis. You've got to go away and do a load of research on your topic, personal research. And then it's the writing for 30 marks, the oral, which you said is only for next term, for 20 marks. And Bob's your uncle.
And I think also the research part, I think, is what was off-putting for a lot of teachers, and thinking about how was their grade 4 child going to do research. And actually research could be, for example, doing a survey to find out, does everyone think that females are incapable of helping themselves? Or how many boys think that and how many girls think that, or whatever. So research doesn't have to be...
And where did the stereotyping come from? Well, women never went to university or had jobs, and in many countries they still don't want women to go to schools.
Exactly. So it doesn't have to be reading a research paper from some university professor.
So I know that at my school, the children for the language project are doing absolutely zero at home, except they've got to go and interview people and ask them about their gender bias and where they think gender bias comes from.
And that's their research.
That's their research. Look, I'm sure the teacher's giving them material in school, but that's what they've got to go and do. So we've laid it out for you as your question where you stimulate them, their question where they then go and research it. And so here's an example of a grade 4 project where they said, why are animals popular characters in stories?
Yeah, and I think this was something that the WCD handed out last year.
In that Talk Smart project?
Yes, in their slideshow. And they sent this out to all the schools and they broke it down for teachers.
To try and simplify it. And this year again, some of the subject advisors from the various metros have sent information to their metro. And certainly our metro received something.
Yes.
And it's very helpful.
Totally. And it's they've given examples in there just so you know where to start. I think that's often the thing with teachers. They don't know where to start. And so
ideas.
it's overwhelming.
It's filled with ideas.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to give you those ideas because I think that material is out there for you.
Yeah.
We're just trying to give you the structure. So what is project-based learning, Rob?
So it's really a method of teaching or an approach to teaching. It's engaging for learners because they're basically in charge of their own learning.
Isn't that what we want, is for kids to be learning for themselves instead of sitting there dumb receptors?
Yes. So project-based learning is research-based for the kids. Yeah.
Actively involved in their own research. So that's really what it is.
Yeah.
How are these learners going to learn? Well,
through the project, they're asking, well, the teacher, in this case, the teacher's asking the question, but they are hypothesizing and realizing that there's not a correct answer to the question.
Because I might pick out a totally different answer to you and we'll both be correct because it's not that one word thing. Because research can go left or right, and depending on which way we follow, where our bent is, where our gut goes, we're going to follow, aren't we?
And that's so exciting because then everybody in the class gets exposed to different things.
And we learn that different opinions matter. Isn't that important? So it's this whole difference between the teacher setting the research question, but the children picking up their own hypothesis.
Love it.
So it's all about voice or choice. Children take ownership.
They formulate their own hypothesis around the teacher's research question. Now, obviously, as they get older, they will start formulating their own question and then their own hypothesis from that. But at this stage, it's new for them. They're still very small in junior school and they need a bit of help with that and guidance. So the teacher's going to formulate the research question.
And so it's this investigating something over time. It's not done for tomorrow and then the project's over. It must be sustained. And then they've got to incubate ideas and revisit assumptions. So assumptions that, what would be an assumption in a fairy tale? That all witches are wicked and ugly. They generally are. But
are they even real?
Okay, and is there a story where the witch was actually kind? I don't know. There might be one in an
old
folklore.
Wolves are always the bad characters as well.
And why are wolves always bad?
Yeah.
I love wolves.
And where does that stereotype come from? That's lovely.
Exactly. So those are all things that we've got to look at over time. And so this idea of exploring, going left and right and questioning is what this whole thing is all about.
Yeah, and so the methodology is really about collaborating in an open discussion in the classroom or with experts at home or in a group. I like it if the kids do the research part, the hypothesis and research part as a group or a pair, and then they do the writing and the oral on their own. So they have that sort of crossover.
So once they've had that discussion, they would reflect on Jenny's idea and Michael's idea and maybe smush them together and come up with their own idea.
Continuously questioning those assumptions.
Why are wolves bad?
Yeah.
And then they must receive critique from their peers, firstly, and then possibly the teacher, because there's back and fro all the time. That's what it's about. It's like you're doing a research thesis where you don't just move ahead. You've got to be criticized. So you continually revise your thinking. You might even change your whole topic or your whole hypothesis halfway through.
Adjusting your hypothesis.
Yes, and that's what it's all about. I think it's fluid. And so what is PBL? Well, it's just 21st century thinking skills, teaching independence, actively involving children in their language learning.
Fantastic. I think the WCED's hit the spot on introducing project-based learning.
And some real teaching, thinking skills.
It's fabulous. I love it. So
I'm excited about it. I think it's lovely. And so long as at my school, the entire project has been done at school so that kids don't feel, we got this massive thing. I think keep it tight, keep it tidy.
Yeah, and then we're going to put on some links for you to follow just to help you with...
if you require them.
Yeah. Lovely. So we'll see you next week. What are we doing next week, Helen?
I think we're doing something on maths.
Lovely.
How to make it very simple and easy, because that's how we roll.
Absolutely. So we'll see you next week. Have a fabulous week. And next week's a short week as well.
Ooh, yes.
Love it. Have a fabulous rest of your week.